I come from a cultured family, and I know they won't be happy to hear or see my life choice on this. I want to hear about your opinion, the discord of women who are choosing not to marry and have kids.
Hmm. Well, what I would say is it's your choice. Um, you said women who you're choosing to do it. So that means that it's your choice, it's your life decision. And nobody can tell you what to do. If you don't want to get married, don't get married.
Okay. Tell a little bit more about your experience with.
Well, because okay, marriage. Well, my experience. I was married for 20 years. It was fairly decent, but um I'm happy I was married. I would not ever say that I regret getting married, but it's hard work. Um, you have to do a lot of things to keep the marriage interesting. You kind of sometimes if you have a partner who's controlling a little bit, you're gonna have to do things the way they want you to do it, and if you're not doing it that way, it causes problems. I find that when I was divorced, I felt more free to do whatever I wanted to do. So when you're married, you kind of have to make decisions based on yourself and somebody else. If you want to buy a car, the guy was going to say, well, you didn't talk to me about it because I went out and bought a car and my husband was upset with me that I bought a car without talking to him about it. So you kind of have that other person like on your shoulder. So for me, when you're not married, you basically make your own decisions. You kind of live your own life, and you don't really have to answer to anybody. Society, though, makes or puts pressure on you to get married. So in terms of society, people want to get married because it's like if you're never married, they're gonna like, what's wrong with you? But I think that if you choose not to get married and you don't have the desire to get married, don't do it. It's what you want. We have to live our lives um, to please ourselves. It's what we want. Um, when it comes to children, I think it's the best thing I ever did was having children. Um, I feel as if when I have my children, I'm not focused so much on the guy. I'm focused on them. And so, in a way, it kind of gives me purpose. Now, children are not perfect and they're not all the same. So, you're going to have to, depend on how many kids you have, you're going to have to deal with each child individually. So, everything you do is going to be hard work. If you're a person who feel you don't want any of that, fine. If you're not going to miss it, don't do it. It doesn't matter what your parents say or what anybody else thinks is what you want. And that's my opinion.
Mm.
Now, if you ask my opinion about the trad wife thing, I was going to have that as a topic where a woman depends on a man completely, um, or she's the stay at home wife. I always tell my kids, always have your own money. I've heard people say that, oh, I was in this relationship, I was married to this guy for years, we traveled the world, he bought me this, he bought me that. And when he left me, I had nothing. I'm like, what? How are you gonna have nothing? Girl, if he gave you $500 for groceries, you put away 200 of that $500. Never leave yourself without money because you never know what's going to happen in that relationship. As someone said, or as for research, 50% of marriages end in divorce. So um, I'm not saying to get married and plan for divorce, but get married thinking, okay, anything can happen. I'm going to be prepared for whatever happens. And so therefore, you prepare for it. Not to get divorced, but prepare for if anything happens to your husband, he decides he does. And I'm going to tell you something. When you're married to somebody and at first when you meet, you guys are in love. And then as you start living together and you start seeing their bad habits and they start seeing your bad habits, you're not going to be as in love as you were in the beginning. So, and sometimes people view that as, oh, I'm not in love with him anymore. I'm not in love with her anymore. And so they seek out somebody else or they allow another person to come into the relationship. And that there, poof, your relationship is gone. So, um, marriage is a difficult thing. Marriage is something you have to work on. You have to date each other. You have to do things to keep it interesting. You have to have experiences that is going to bond you together. You're going to have things in common. So for the people out there who are saying, I don't ever want to get married, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying you're going to miss out on anything either, because I was married. I didn't mind being married, but it has its downfalls, its negatives. So that's my opinion about marriage. And then the tried wife, always have your own money. You know, when I was young, I always don't say I'm crazy. When I was younger, I never wanted to be in a relationship where a man is going to take care of me. It was like I knew something told me, Denise, if you ever marry a guy who's going to take care of you, he's not going to respect you. I mean, he may love you, and initially he may want to take care of you, but eventually he's gonna grow like maybe an entitlement. It's like I'm taking care of her, I'm paying all the bills, she's not doing anything. She kind of owes me certain things. She owes me, my food has to be on the table when I come home. She owes me something, and then you get this thing where the men begin to disrespect the women because, oh well, the only thing you do, you stay home and you just cook. But when I was younger, I did not want it, and I was like, why didn't I want it? I've never experienced it before. Maybe I had a past life where I was somewhat of a trad wife and I did not like it. I did not like the way the man treated me. And in my marriage, my only marriage, I was not a trad wife, but I did experience some of that because he kind of made more money than I did. And he took on more of the expense than I did. And he kind of made me, he made sure that I knew it. He made sure that I knew that he was doing a lot. And so for me, I always tell my girls, don't um, depend on a man to take care of you 100%. Or if you do that, make sure that you have backup money. And it goes for men too. This is not just a woman thing. Anybody who's in a relationship and never depend on anybody 100%. Or you can depend on them, but um, have your own backup. And they will respect you more. If they know that, hey, you have the power to move on from them, they're going to treat you better. But if they know that you're kind of like stuck and you have no choice, I don't know. I think it's human nature to take you for granted when they feel, well, she can't go anywhere. He can't go anywhere. I support him. I pay for everything. And so when they know that you can go whenever you choose, they're going to value you more or treat you better. That's what I think. Did any other questions come up or did I answer that question right?
I think I agree. Marriage isn't for everyone and kids. So much pressure on a woman,
Mm-hmm.
but do they think if they want? I don't know what do they think if they want. I agree marriage isn't for everyone and kids. So
Mm-hmm.
much pressure on women. Yeah.
Yeah.
More housework.
Oh yeah. And there's so much pressure, me and my husband, we both work in the same field. And I used to come home. Well, I'm not saying he didn't. He was not a bad husband in the sense of he used to cook. So that was a plus. I didn't have to come home and do everything. And he used to pick up the kids from after school. Where did he pick you guys up from? I don't remember.
When we got old enough, there was we had to walk to school and get on the bus and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
it
when
was
you were babies, he used to have to pick you up, like maybe from kindergarten and that kind of
yeah,
stuff. When you
but it
weren't
was
in
in the
daycare.
same the convenience was that it was in the same city that we lived in,
Yeah,
and you worked
yeah. I worked
40
in the
minutes
Bronx,
away.
so
Yeah.
he had to pick them up. So I appreciate that help. I'm not gonna say it was nothing. Um, but I used to have to come home and wash their clothes, and he used to cook sometimes, but I was the main cleaner of the house. I was the person who cleaned the bathroom. I don't think he cleaned the bathroom once. Never. He never cleaned the bathroom. And um, so there was more pressure on me to get to deal with the kids and everything. So there's more pressure on the woman. Why he had his man cave and used to go down and watch football. There was no woman cave for me.
She said, "There's a common notion within my community. If you don't have kids, who's going to take care of you when you're older?" What do you think about this?
Sometimes you have kids and they don't take care of you anyway. So just save up your money and no, I have 4 kids, so I think, I think I'm taking, never have kids so that, yeah, my father used to think that. Never have kids because you are looking for somebody to take care of you when you get older, because there's no guarantee for that. If you're having kids for that reason, you're not going to enjoy the true value of kids. Kids can bring you joy. Like right now, me and my kids are vacationing together. And I find I like that. They like to spend time with me. I like to spend time with them. But sometimes, when they get married, that's, I don't know what's going to happen. But for now, we have a good time together. But never plan on having children because you're going to have somebody to take care of you when you're older, because just stay healthy. That's my advice. Stay healthy, always exercise, always keep it moving so that when you're old, you're a person who is um, moving around, you're a person who can take care of yourself and save your money so that you can provide. Sometimes, even if you have kids, they still have to bring in nurses to take care of you. They still have to put in a nursing home anyway. I'm not saying you shouldn't have children. It's nice to have somebody to come visit you when you're somewhere, but don't have children because of that pressure that, oh well, you'll have someone to take care of you, because there's no guarantee they're going to be around anyway. They're not going to want to take care of you, not because they don't love you, but it's hard taking care of an elderly parent. It's hard lifting up someone out of a bed and you know helping them walk, and they're going to have to get a nurse for you anyway. So save your money. When if you don't have children, you'll probably be able to save a lot of money. Have money for that part of your life so that you can hire private care or whatever, someone coming in and helping you out. I wouldn't have children because of any kind of societal pressure, that you're going to have someone to take care of you when you get older. It's all up to you what you want, what makes you happy. That's what I think about that.
Yes. Thank you, A Safira or A Safira, for your questions. You're the GOAT. Amazing questions asked. If anybody else has any questions, leave them down in the chat. If anybody else has any questions, any question at all about anything
Yeah,
at all,
anything.
ask a question in the chat.
Well, my politics.
Oh my gosh, don't even bring up, that's not what they're here for.
I said not that. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, those, if they do ask that, then you can just ignore that question.
Oh.
You can ignore the question. Thank you for your question, but I don't talk about politics. I would say people's names, acknowledge them,
But as I said to you, if I can't acknowledge, I can't see.
If you can't see, okay, get close and see if you can see if you get close. Can you? You still can. Oh wait, no, you're gonna have your phone.
Fuzzy.
No, you're gonna have your phone, right?
But then I'm gonna be looking down.
No, you look at your phone quickly and then you put it back
Why
Down
is this?
here.
If you don't have kids, you're going to.
Oh, this is my phone's problem.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, what do you? There's a question I see.
Yes. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, Mom. Okay. Here we go. Let's find us.
Yeah, I'm not a professional. I just share my life experiences. I think in life you make your own life choices. And I think your life choices should be based on not hurting anybody. So if you're not hurting anybody and you decide to do something, fine for you. But as long as no one's getting hurt, base everything on that. Sorry, we didn't see that last question. Another question. You talk about your relationships. It's make me think about my
Parents'
the
dilemma.
What is the dilemma?
Oh yeah, what's the dilemma? That's Safira again?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a favorite. That was I'm kidding.
My parents. Yeah.
My parents aren't together, but still together. Uh-oh. It was really. I can't read that, man.
It has really harmed the dynamic of my
Our house.
household.
Mm-hmm.
My parents aren't together but still together. Oh
They're still
no.
living in the same house.
Are they bitter towards each other? Aren't together but still together. Yeah, because if they're bitter towards each other, all that.
Maybe not bitter, but maybe they're dating out to different people.
Mm,
Sometimes people are not together, but somebody has a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
yeah.
I don't know, but I'd have to have
Wouldn't
more
wanna-
information.
Yeah. How did it harm the dynamic of your household, Safira? How do you think? She'll come to it.
There was a question I think we missed, though.
No, we answered it. I read it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so would you be able to, with your phone? My phone's gonna die and it's got bad internet,
Mhm.
but you could read that better here?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, bitter, and they live together. They use me and the siblings to communicate. Oof. Go ahead.
Well, I think what some parents don't realize that they are responsible for showing the children what is healthy in a relationship and what's not, and they're not really thinking about their own behavior. For example, if you're in a relationship and you're constantly arguing, I think sometimes it's best to leave because it's not just for you and the person you're in a relationship with, it's also for the children because you kind of like have to show children what a healthy relationship looks like. But unfortunately, as parents, we don't always make the right decisions. Um, you know, we are thinking about ourselves and not necessarily what's best for the kids. And I think that's what it is. Yeah, parents are just probably trying to think about whatever they're going through, and they're not thinking, "Oh my gosh, here we are in a house, in a toxic situation, and we're not showing a good example to our children." They're probably just trying to um, take care of their own selfish needs. I don't mean to call them selfish, but in a way, that's what it is. But the main goal when you're a parent is not to repeat what your parents did. But your goal as a parent is you have to try your best to show your children what a healthy relationship looks like. If there's constantly fighting, if the mother's being abused, if anything, and if there's verbal abuse, meaning the person is they calling each other names and stuff, their physical abuse, you have to leave. You have to let go of that relationship because it's not only good for you, but it's also good for your kids. And you're in a way, as the Bible says, I say, raise a child the way they should grow. It is your parents' responsibility to show you what life, how you should grow and the things you should do in life. And if they're not doing the right thing, there's nothing you can do about it because you're a kid. But it's up to the parents to know better and do better.
And even if they're broken up, it should still be respectful.
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes people get into this, they get into themselves and, what they want from life. And they don't realize that it's messing up the kids.
Yeah.
But I guess the only thing I can say, you can't control what anyone does. You can only control what you do. So when you become a mom or a parent, don't make the same mistakes your parents made. If the relationship is not healthy, you leave that relationship because it's not good for your kids because they're going to repeat the cycle. They may repeat, not everybody repeats the cycle, but some kids will repeat the cycle and go into relationships that they saw mom and dad had. You know how many people are in relationships where they say, oh, well, that's how I grew up. I thought it was normal. And it's not normal. So you kind of have to not repeat what your parents did. You can't control what they're doing. The only thing you can do is control you and not repeat what they're doing and praying that they will eventually come to um, a conclusion that where they do what's best for the kids. That's my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. You have a good first live.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I like that. You can only control yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't tell parents. I'm a parent.
Is that why you don't want to get married?
You see,
Is that why you don't want to get married and have kids because of your parents' dynamic?
oh,
Right. It's the
mm,
same person.
oh, okay.
Well, I don't know. That's a question that she could answer. Or
Oh, I thought she just didn't have the desire.
some people don't, you know. And then if you don't have the desire, and then you're stuck in something like that, you know, you're gonna be miserable forever. It's a big reason, yes. Their love has been a good example
Mhm.
of why she doesn't want to get married and have kids, I guess.
But not
What do you
everybody
have to say
does
about
that.
that? Yeah.
I don't think that should be a deterrent. Um, Not every relationship is like that. When I basically got my divorce because I realized that, you know, my relationship at the time was not a good example for my kids. So some people will come to that conclusion. So I shouldn't say let that be. Not everybody does that. A lot of people do not stay in the same house and put the kids through all that type of stuff. Many people will just go their separate ways. And so I guess for you, you would know, well, if it's not if there's any kind of physical abuse or mental abuse or anything like that, you know now that you leave. You know now that it's not normal. You know now that it's not good for you. It wouldn't be good for your kids. So you would go your way and be by yourself. You know, some people who don't have kids, they sometimes have this yearning to have children and feel as if they missed out on something. I mean, I don't have that feeling, but I know that that feeling exists. So don't let somebody else's bad behavior, um, just have one then. Don't let someone else's bad behavior deter you. If you have one and decide, hey, this is not for me, okay.
Mm.
You see that child through college, they go on, but don't let somebody else's bad behavior deter you. It has to be something from within you that, like, you know what, you say, I don't feel as if I really want children. I don't really want to get married, not because of a trauma, but maybe you said, well, I would like to travel the world and do something, you know, be adventurous, and having children is going to hold me back. Then, but not because your parents were bad examples. Because not every parenting situation is going to be like that.
How do you think that if she does decide to get married and or have kids, that she should navigate it after having seen what she's seen?
Well, as I said, if she feels that, there are going to be issues that are going to affect the kids, now she has an experience, just move on from that relationship.
And how does she find a relationship that she doesn't have to move on from? Like, how
You
can
do,
she
you can
find?
never find a relationship you don't have to move on from. There's no guarantees.
Thanks.
No guarantees that you're going to find a relationship that you don't you don't want to move on from. You can pick somebody who, well, you can have maybe a long relationship with, but there's no guarantee. I know, someone said something. I was watching a Tyler Perry one time, and he said sometimes people are not in your life forever. They're in your life for a season, meaning that you sometimes people you just have to learn. They're in your life to teach you a lesson. So not everybody's guaranteed to be in your life forever. Whatever time you had with somebody, make sure that they're good times. You could be with a guy. I like the fact that I was married. I had a fun, maybe. Well, I was married 20 years, so I had a first 7 years was good, and then there was some turbulence. 7 years, seven, whatever, whatever. I had some good years. I had some fun years. I had some good experiences. So I would never say I regret. There's no guarantee that somebody's going to be in your life forever. But okay, let's say you never get married. What are you going to be in relationships?
Yeah.
Um,
She said she truly also doesn't have the desire.
okay. So
So you had the desire for marriage, but I heard you talking about how you don't have the desire for marriage now.
yes, desire for marriage, but a part of me telling me no, don't do it. Only because when you get married, you typically, okay, like I'm in a relationship right now where we live separate. So we kind of have our own space. Like if we see each other certain times of the week, and then if he's talking again on my nerves, I know I can go home. But if we're married, then where am I going to go? So that's it. I'm like, I realize that and we have this time where we're not together all the time, so we miss each other.
Mhm.
So, but when you're together all the time, like you say to yourself, like, why don't he go spend some time with somebody to get him out of the house? But I think when you're in a relationship, though, you shouldn't spend 24/7 with that person. You should have friends you go out with. They should have friends they go out with that you trust. Um, you should have things that you enjoy together, but you should have things that you do separate. In your home when you're together, you should have, like, for example, sometimes I would go upstairs, do my own thing. I'd watch my TV. I'd be in my own space. and they would be downstairs doing their own thing. So you kind of can't, you have to have a somewhat a togetherness and yet a separation in order for that relationship to last longer. It's work. I think that's what I said in the beginning. It's hard work.
Ooh, that's the kind of dynamic that I would very much prefer, and I've reflected on this actually. My friends think I'm crazy for wanting that.
Yeah, that works. hmm I used to say that, I don't mind getting married, but we should live in a separate house. We should live in you just miss each other more. You don't see each other every day, so you kind of miss each other. As long as the guy is trustworthy or woman, but you miss each other, and that helps you to stay together longer. Um, but it doesn't work for everybody, you see. Um, Sometimes when you give people space like that, they abuse it. So it's complicated.
How long has this been working for you? The being together, living separately, and not being married. How long have you guys been
Like 10
together?
years.
Not more than 10 years? Hasn't it been
A
like
little
12
bit, a little
years?
bit more. It's an estimate.
Finish.
Mhm. Yeah, 10ish. But I have the desire to get married. I want to be Mrs. You know what.
hmm
As society put that pressure on you that, oh, well, you're with this person for so long. Why aren't you married? What's wrong with you? Why isn't he marrying you? Doesn't he love you? And we're like, we've both been married and we know what marriage is like. And, a part of me wants to get married, but a part of me like, I'm not going to push it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, but a lot of people are not going to do the uh together but yet separate thing because there's a lot of things you have to trust your person, because I think people don't want that separate living space because they don't trust that that person is going to be faithful to them. So there are a lot of insecurities that come into that people are not secure about the relationship they're in, so they feel as if they have to somehow live together and be under the same roof so they can have a somewhat of a view as to what that person is doing 24/7, and that's where the marriage comes in and living together thing comes in. It works for me. I'm not sure why, but um it may not work for everybody. So, and if you're with somebody it doesn't work out, just move on. Period. You move on and you find the person who is right for you. And sometimes that may not happen until you're like in your 60s.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an old woman with knowledge. Look, sometimes the men don't settle down until they're ill.
And their junk don't work that well anymore
I don't say that because um,
after you're married.
I don't know about that part.
Oh.
I mean,
I
but
thought that's what she
sometimes
meant.
they need somebody to take care of them. And so that's when they're willing to settle down. But once they're young and, vital, you know,
Vital.
I don't know. Relationships are messed up. I don't blame anybody who doesn't want to be in one. But you're going to get heartbreak no matter what. Whether you get married or don't get married, as long as you're in relationships, whether you're in a relationship with a male or a female, or any kind of relationship, you may get your heart broken. There's no guarantees. You just have to somehow know your worth and your value and decide, hey, I'm not going to take any crap, and do things that you enjoy that does not involve anyone from the opposite sex, that you like to do, that no matter what's going on with your relationship, that you can say, hey, I like to paint, and you just go into your painting space and do painting, or I just like to enjoy nature, and you go for a walk, you go for a little hike. You have to find a way to make yourself happy and not depend on anybody else. So are we done now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, using your case as an example, what's the best way to navigate?
I need you to say that.
Using your case as an example, what's the best way to navigate when you feel said relationship has come to an end? What's the best way to navigate when you feel that that relationship has come to an end?
Well, make sure you have a backup plan in the sense of a place to go, a place to stay. Don't tell that person, while you're living in the same house. I guess you have to know the person if they have anger issues. Um, how it's kind of difficult to answer because when you say that the relationship has come to an end, how do you know that it's the end? Did the
Discussing the
person decide to end it, or you decide you don't love them anymore, or how?
No, I mean the relationship of being together but living separately.
That's easy.
You just
You change your locks. That's easy. You tell them you don't live together. So, I mean, yeah, it's come to an end. You say, hey, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. That's it.
But this isn't working for me anymore.
Yeah, this is not working
Sorry.
for me anymore. And you change your lock so that they can't just come into your house without that's easier than living together. Once you live together, that's one of the most
Gotta figure out who's moving
yeah,
out,
who's
or are we
moving?
selling, or are we both moving?
Can we sleep in the same room?
Are you gonna poison me tonight?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if you're living separate, that's the easiest way to get out of a relationship. Nobody has to worry about where they're gonna go.
The locks is crazy. She's cracking.
They don't live with you. But they may have a key because I have a key and he has a key. So if I break up with him, I don't think he's gonna come here.
Yeah, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be sad about it, but they're they're a normal, sane person.
Yeah.
And then, but you know when your person is crazy.
Yeah, you do.
You know when you know either that they're crazy or that you don't know. You're like, I don't really know if they would. And then you protect
sometimes
yourself.
You don't know though.
Yeah.
A lot of women, when they're like separating from guys,
that's the point when they start to be crazy.
That's when you're like, who is this? I never knew he was like that. Who is this person?
Yeah.
So I don't think you ever know what they're like. So did I answer that question?
I think so. That's a good question. Yeah, she's hot. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for being on our live. Thanks. Shout out to A Safira. A Safira. I feel like it's Safira. But thank you so much for all of your questions. Those were like really good questions. And we appreciate everybody who came here and was on the live. Make sure to come check us out again.
This was a test.
This was a test. This was our test run. Thank you. You're incredible. We love you. And we'll see you next time. Make sure to come back.